Welcome back to the channel, guys. In this video we're going to talk all about how to enhance your hook baits to give you the ultimate edge on the bank. This is just a very quick video, maybe 5 or 6 minutes, maybe even a little bit longer, just on what I do to my bottom baits and how I enhance my bottom baits, depending on what season I'm fishing in, okay? Obviously now we're coming into the winter period, so for me, as you'll have seen on the intro, I sort of like my milky proteins, I like stuff really nutty, okay? That works for me, and that works on the lakes that I fish mainly. As you all know, I have been a team member of RG Baits for many years now, and I'm still to this day a massive fan of their bait, and I have no intentions of leaving whatsoever. I use their baits all through the year, whether that's spring, summer, autumn, winter. They are my go-to. Obviously I'll change up which products I use depending on what season it is, but on the whole I just stick with them, and I just think they're really good. So today for me, obviously they're hardened hook baits, okay, so the bottom baits that RG Baits sells are absolutely out of this world anyway. However, I like to just tinker with them a little bit, just to give me that little bit more of an edge on the bank. In this video then, I'm going to show you exactly my process and what I do. I'll explain it anyway, because I've literally just made up a batch, but then that's what prompted me to make this video, because I'm not going to be doing one of these for a while. So I'll talk you through my process, and hopefully you'll maybe take on board some of the tips that I do and apply them to whatever baits you use. So let's get into it. So whether you use RG Baits or whether you use another bait company, generally every company has the products or their own products of what I'm about to go through now, okay? So the first product, obviously we need some baits, okay? So bottom baits, enhanced hookers from RG Baits are the ones for us, or the ones that I use anyway, and they do them in a range of flavours, okay, depending on what you want for the particular season. So for me, going into the winter and certainly into the maybe early spring, it's 100% going to be RG Baits' Vitalac, okay? Now this is mainly a milk-based product, okay, so for me it's perfect for the winter, and to be honest, every time I've used this in the winter I've caught fish, so we've gone along with that. So you need some hook bait, so choose your preferred. Next thing we're going to need is some form of a liquid, okay, because the way that we're going to enhance these baits, we need a liquid, okay? So the liquid that I'll use is RG Baits' again Vitalac food, okay, so liquid food, really good. Does cloud up, but it does enable me to complete my process of going forward. So any liquid will do. Whatever your bait company does, just get a liquid food, preferably that matches what your hook bait is. That would be great, because it is going to soak into that bait. The next thing we're going to need then is some powder, okay, some very fine powder. So for me, going into the winter period, I want it milky, I want it nutty. That's what works for me. Like I say, it's completely personal preference. Whatever works for you, then just apply the same principles. So going forward for me then, it's going to be tiger nut meal, okay? So this is a very fine powder, okay, and it sticks really well to the baits that I'm using, so the hardened hookers, the enhanced hook baits. So we do need one more thing. That is an empty container, so of your choice. This is just some RG Baits squid stim that I've been using, which is empty now, so I'd reuse this. It needs to be slightly bigger than the pot that they come in, because once we've added our bits to these baits that we're eventually going to get out of the packet, okay, you're going to struggle to get them all back in this, and there's a bit of a method to it, so I'll go through that anyway. Last but not least, we need some Himalayan rock salt, okay, so this is the finer version. RG Baits do a coarse version, but this is the fine version, and it works perfectly for what we need it to do. You are going to need one more item, and that is something that you've all probably got at home anyway, and that is just the little food bags, so little resealable food bags. So you're probably bound to have some of them, but if you haven't, then they are really, really cheap to buy. So maybe like £1 for like 20 or something. So get yourself some of them because you're going to need it. So we'll talk about the process then. Okay, so step one is going to be to get one of your food bags, one of the resealable food bags we talked about, preferably clear, but it doesn't really make a difference. Open one of them up, and all we're going to do is tip some of our liquid food into that bag. Okay, so there's nothing else in the bag, just tip a little bit of liquid in. Now for me, it's like literally, if you're doing a pot of hook baits, you're going to need maybe 2 tablespoons of liquid. Okay, it's very, very minimal. It's just to get a very fine coating on all of the hook baits. Okay, so once we've done that, we've tipped that into the bag. We're just going to move it around in our hands and make sure that the entirety of the inside of the bag is covered. Okay, moving from there, then step 2 is going to be to empty our hook baits into that bag. What we're going to do then is simply blow some air into the bag and tighten it. Okay, this will create a pocket of air, okay, and the baits can move freely. And all we're going to do is shake that bag, okay, and enables the coating, the liquid food, to get all amongst all of the baits, so they've all got an even coating around them. From there then, step 3 is going to be introducing some of the tiger nut meal or powdered food of your choice, whichever your bait company gives you. We're going to introduce a few sprinklings of that. Okay, I'd probably recommend maybe 4 or 5 tablespoons into that bag. Same thing again, we're going to simply blow some air into the bag, tighten it up with our hands, create that pocket of air and shake it. Okay, what that's going to do is it's going to coat all of our hook baits in the lovely tiger nut meal, if that's what you're using. From there then, step 4 is going to be leave it. Okay, just leave it on the counter in your kitchen. Fortunately, going into winter using this sort of stuff, it does smell actually really nice, so the missus isn't going to be annoyed with you and your house is still going to smell really nice. So we're going to leave that preferably overnight, and then we'll come back to it the next day. The next day then, we're just going to repeat the process. All we're going to do is get a fresh bag, okay, a fresh resealable bag, tip some of the liquid in, maybe 1 or 2 tablespoons again, pop the baits into that bag, blow the air, shake it up, coat them again, and then we're going to chuck some more of this in. Okay, so another maybe 4 tablespoons in the separate bag. Blow the air, create the vacuum, shake it up. We're going to do that maybe 2 or 3 times, okay, and we're going to see that the actual hook baits themselves, so these actually come in, these are 15mm, these ones. Over the next sort of 2 to 3 processes of doing this, the baits are actually going to increase in size. So we're almost creating another layer on top of the actual hook bait itself. What that's going to do when it hits the water is it's going to break down, give off more scents, more smells, and just hopefully trigger the fish into picking that one out of the rest. Okay, that's the way I think of it, and it works. It catches me fish in winter. So you keep doing that. You do that maybe 2 or 3 times, and then the 4th step, okay, which we're going to finish it all off with, is we're going to add a little bit more liquid just into the same bag. We don't need to reuse another bag this time, and we're going to tip maybe 2 or 3 tablespoons of the Himalayan rock salt. This is again fine. It's very fine. It's similar to the actual tiger nut meal itself. What this is going to do is it's going to preserve the bait. Okay, it's going to absorb all the moisture in that bag, make sure everything dries out perfectly, but also give us that added attraction to the hook bait. We all know what Himalayan rock salt does with carp. Okay, it really triggers their senses. Once that's done, we're going to leave it maybe a night, overnight and a day. Let that all that moisture dry out, get them nice and hard. Okay, and then all we're going to do is empty them into a bigger container. So the 15mm hook baits that we originally started with are now probably going to be looking more like 20mm, okay, maybe even a little bit bigger, depending on how many steps that you do in that process. So what we're going to do then is we're going to fill one of these. Okay, this is just, like I say, it's an old squid stim tub, but you can see how big that is compared to your regular pots. So it's quite substantial. Okay, we're going to fill that maybe 2/3 of the way with Himalayan rock salt, and then we're going to tip our hook baits in that bag. Now, what this is going to do is it's twofold. It's going to keep them dry, okay? It's going to stop the moisture from getting in and then bait softening. So it's going to preserve them as well, okay? And obviously once they're fully dried out, they're going to be easier to mount on your hook bait, onto your hook, and yeah, it'll be maximum attraction. I'll show you these now. You end up with, they're almost like odd shapes, okay? Which for me is really good. They're not all complete circles. You end up with a little bit on one side, and they're just really odd shapes, but they're really nice. So you end up with something that looks like that. So it's almost like a bit of a, almost like a cultured hook bait, if you like, okay? You end up with some that are oblong, some that look like dumbbells, and for me, that's what the pot looks like. So it's just full of goodness. It's full of salt, all right, in there, and it completely dries it out. So for me, it's perfect. And that just goes in my bait bucket or in your tackle bag. Give it a shake every now and again. Make sure they're all getting coated. But yeah, ultimately that is the one for me. See all that salt. Give it a shake. Get the baits to the top, and you end up with just this goodness. So what's going to happen is when that hits the water, this is all going to start breaking down slowly, and eventually you'll end up with what was left, well, what came in this pot, and that's where I go from there. So that for me is my process on sort of modifying and adjusting and giving myself more of an edge, rather than just the standard hook baits, okay? As mentioned earlier on in the video, each bait company will have their own sort of products that sort of mirror what these are, okay? So every bait company out there will have some form of a powdered meal. You'll all know where to get your Himalayan rock salt from, but this one from RG Baits is really good. Every company does a liquid food, and every company obviously does bottom bait, so you're going to be able to get all of that, and then just it's a matter of nipping down to your local supermarket, getting some plastic bags, and going on with it. And you can adjust this. You can make them really big. You can do multiple processes, or maybe just do one. Start off with doing one, see how you get on, see if they work for you. If they don't, then you can add another layer and just keep going. Realistically, you could probably make 15 millers up to 25 mil. Certainly good for getting a big carp, but remember, it does break down in the water. So over a period of hours, it will break down. You'll be left with the 15 miller. But yeah, it's important and imperative that we do have that Himalayan salt in there. It keeps them dry, keeps them preserved, okay, keeps their flavours, and stops everything from leaking out prior to us going down to the lake. Appreciate this video. It's probably gone a lot longer than what I said it would. That happens. I do tend to ramble. However, I like to give everyone as much information as possible, so that everyone understands exactly what they're doing when they come to do this. All right. Same with all my videos. The aim of this channel is to create a community within the fishing arena where we can have people coming into our little community, watching the same videos, having the discussions on the videos, you know, and everyone helping each other to land more fish and sharing tips, tricks. No one's a master. No one knows everything about fishing. Certainly not me anyway. I'm just here to share what I know, to hopefully help people increase their catch rate. Once again, if you have liked this video, then please drop a comment and like the video, and don't forget to share it as well. It helps the channel a lot. We're nearly at that 1,000k. Yeah, we're nearly at that 1k. I think we're on about 730 or something like that subscribers, so trying to get to that 1k. If I get to the 1k, I'll do a giveaway, so share it, like it, comment it, tell your friends, get it on your socials. Let's get to that 1k. I'll do a giveaway, and then we'll go from there, and hopefully we can try and get to maybe 2, 3, 5k, and we'll just keep the channel rolling. If you guys want me to do any reviews, then drop them in the comments as well. I can certainly try and get my hands on some tackle and some bits. I'll try my best anyway. If not, I'll find alternatives and do reviews on them. So yeah, if you are interested in that, then drop the comments. Other than that, that's it from me today on this episode, and I will see you in the next one.